Hello, DigimonTCG. Here we are, finally set 10. I've waited for this deck for so long. I've playtested it. I've had it proxied for at least 3 months, and playtested it and know my way well around the deck. This is actually card for card. I just came in. I came in first on our 21 person locals. We had 4 rounds. I was the only undefeated, so we kind of just cut it there. There would have been a 5th round if the other undefeated would have won, but he didn't win his last match, so we ended up cutting it at me, being the undefeated person for the night. Went 4-0. I only lost 2 games the entire night. Round 1 was I had it 2-1 against a blue flare player. Great player at our locals, by the way, one of our top players. Round 2 was Ancient Greymon, and I won 2-1, honestly barely, because the girl who was piloting it, game 1, she beat me. I didn't know what I was going against. Been a long time since I've seen Ancient Grey. Just absolutely floored me. Game 2, honestly, she would have won if she wouldn't have made a small mistake. She swung with the 14k stack Ancient Greymon, and ended up checking Death X in the second security to kill it. So she did have a hero on field. If she'd have tapped it, she'd have cleared my security. And I was just able to capitalize on that mistake and then come back game 3 and just absolutely steamroll that game. Excuse me. Round 3 was Shoutmon Cross. I 2-0'd them. Honestly, they did have a bad hand though, and my hand was bad too, but I was just able to kind of put the pressure on quickly enough to get the win. And then last round, I was played another blue flare player, also another one of our great players at our locals, and ended up 2-0'ing him. Game 1, he had a bad hand, and I just capitalized on top of that. Game 2, me and him both had good hands. We played it out, and I ended up winning. So that was 4-0 with Darkknightmon. So this is the exact list that I won with. But in the games that I played that night, I learned the problems the deck had, and I corrected them kind of already. I will go over those towards the end of the video of the changes that I did make. But this is the list that I won with card for card. So our babies, we only play 4 of, and we play 4 Monimons. And it says all turns when this Digimon has a Twilight in its traits, gain 1k. So our Nene Tamer likes to turn our Twilights and Darkknightmons into blockers. So this being all turns help us swing for a higher DP, and also lets us block a little beefier as well. And that's why I chose to go with these babies. The reason why I didn't go with the Pagumon babies is because honestly, deck search is enough fine. And sometimes Pagumon, you'll reveal that top card, and let's say it'll be a Nene, and now you got to put it to the bottom of the deck. And honestly, the 2 games that I lost the whole night, in round 1 against the blue player, and in round 2 against the Ancient Grey player, was because I did not see Nene that game. Because against the blue flare player round 1, I would have had more blockers to stop them. And round 2, I would have been able to stop that security check, because game 1 they did have the piercing on it, but game 2 they did not have piercing on that Ancient Grey from the Flamemon inheritable. So I would have been able to block that swing and not take all the damage, but it ended up still being in my favor. But the games that I played outside of our local tournament for fun, the ones that I did lose, it was because I did not have a Nene on board to make my Dark Knights and Twilights blockers. But going to the main deck, we got 4 Monitamons. And what our Monitamon does is, on play, reveal top 4 cards of your deck. Add 2 cards that have that are black are either black with Knightmon or Deadly Axemon in their names, or Twilight in their traits. So this adds 90% of the deck. The only thing it doesn't add is some of our options. It doesn't add Death X, and it doesn't add our other rookies, which we'll get to shortly. It does have the Twilight trait. I don't know if you can see in the camera. Hopefully it focuses well enough. But this Manitamon does have Twilight in its traits, so it is a blocker if you have a Nene on board, which is really nice. Nice having a little rookie blocker sometimes, just to take the hits. Our next rookie of choice, we only played 10 rookies total. And I'll get to why in a little bit, as the next thing we play is 3 of the BT6 Shakurimon, where if it's checked to security, Digivolve is 1. You know, we really want to we de-Digivolve a lot in here, because sometimes just killing things outright lets them get too much advantage sometimes, like especially the X-Cross. They can just material save all their stuff, and it gets to be a pretty big hassle. So we try to want to rely on the de-Digivolve a little bit more. And then our last rookies we play is the starter deck Shakurimon from the Ragna deck. All turn players can't reduce play costs. So just kind of throwing out there, one change that I did change with this after the fact was I did change one of these Shakuris to another one of the Digivolve ones, because what had happened was, another reason why I lost round 1, that one game against the blue player, is because I had this on board and I couldn't Death X, and I couldn't Digicross my Dark Knights or any of that, because it does affect you too. So I kind of just let it sit there, because it was hurting him, but it was hurting me too. So that's one thing I decided to drop it down to 2, because you can recur with this deck. I'll get to that also momentarily. With the Dark Knight X antibody, you can recur things from the trash. So after the fact, what I decided to do was I decided to drop this down to 2 and put a 4th de-Digivolve Shakurimon. So that's one change that I did do with the deck after the fact. And honestly, deck ran fine for the tournament. I just these changes are basically just to make it a little bit easier, because it was difficult to kind of pilot around things that my opponents were playing. So the cards that we're trading out helps us do more proactive plays, and it helps us more in the long run. So our next card, getting on to our level 4s. Now the reason why we don't play a lot of rookies, we only play 10 rookies, is because all of our level 4s, every single one of our level 4s cost 4 to play. So if we absolutely have to, we can play cost for those. It's no big deal. They're only 1 bigger than most rookies, because like, look, this is a 3 cost, this is a 3 cost, this is a 3 cost. So they're only 1 more than rookies, really. They are low DP is the problem, but they get a lot of good effects, especially on play effects. So Deadly Axe, on play, you look at the top 5, and you add up to 2 cards with Knightmon in their names among them. So it doesn't add, it can't add itself, because it doesn't have Knightmon, but it can add the new Deadly Axe, which has Knightmon and Deadly Axe in its name, and it can add any of your other Knightmons as well. It cannot add Nene, unfortunately. It's one of the only cards that does not add Nene in this deck, but the top 5 add 2 is really good, helps us get our pieces. And then the inheritable, if you have a Digimon with Knightmon or Bagramon in its name, it gets 2k on your turn. So it helps our stack get a little bit bigger. Going to these, this is the new Skull Knightmon Mighty Axe mode. Its name is considered Skull Knight and Deadly Axemon. So on play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add one card with Knightmon and its name, Deadly Axe or Nene, to your hand. Trash the rest. Then if Digicross with 2 cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with play cost 4 or less. So this helps us get rid of their Shakurimons or Solarmons or memory blockers, if they have Digimon that are memory blockers on the field, because we do play some memory delays. So Digicrossing, if you don't know what Digicrossing is, what you do is you take the cards listed, and basically on play you put the cards listed from hand or field under this in order. Like you have to put it by order, so you'd have to put Darkknightmon first underneath it and then Deadly Axe. But Digicross 1, so for every material you put underneath it, you reduce it by 1. So you put a Deadly Axe and a Skill Knight underneath it, it basically becomes -1 for each. So you'll play this for a 2 cost actually. You'll get the Digicrossing effect as well. So that's what Digicrossing is. So that's that card. It costs 3 to evolve. We don't normally evolve it. We're normally playing it for that cost. Because 3 to evolve, 4 to just play it outright. Why not play it outright? Our next 4 is Darkknightmon. And I love this card absolutely because he has a when attacking, you may trash the Digivolution of one of your Deadly Axemons, so it's either of these because they both are Deadly Axemons. You may trash the sources, put it underneath this, and play a Darkknightmon from your hand without paying cost. That is beautiful. I love doing that so much. That's one of the mini combos this deck can pop off. Is you'll swing and they're thinking, oh, you're swinging with a little 3K, no big deal. Well, if you have the setup, and it's not hard to get that setup, by the way, you have a Deadly Axe on field, you swing with this, you put the Deadly Axe underneath it, go into Darkknightmon, now that Darkknightmon is swinging for typically 9 to 10K, and then it gets the inheritables, so that'll make it 9K because there's 7, this is 7K. And then the Monimon baby will make it a 10K. This gives a security attack +1. So now you have a level 5 that's swinging for 10K, 2 hits, and all you did was turn this sideways. So really good card. I absolutely love it. 4 of big time. And then our last level 4 is also goes with a neat combo with this. Is 3. We don't play 4 of. We only play 3 of this one. Which is all we really need, honestly. My favorite trick to do with this deck is throw this on top of this, because what this does is it's first off, it's considered a Deadly Axe. Deadly Axe and a Darkknightmon, well, Darkknightmon. And then when digivolving, it gets jamming and blocker. So what I would really like to do, this is one of my favorite combos, and it is just a little 2-card combo. Who loves those? Is I'll have this in play, and I'll slap this on it for 1. Now this is a 5K, which doesn't matter. It's got jamming unless they have something to block it with. But now we have a 2-check jamming monster to just just do some damage, and we ain't really got to worry about it dying except for some security options or something like that, or blockers. Typically I don't do the jamming swing if they have a big blocker. Typically I'll just maybe throw it down and it'll be a blocker if I need. So it gets blocker if you don't have an NA. If you have an NA on field, then it already is a blocker because it's a Darkknightmon. So anyway, so that's all of our level 4s. We play a good bit of them. Moving on to our level 5s. Level 5s, we only play 8. We play 4 of the Darkknightmon from the old older set. Love this card. This is a this could be a boss monster in itself, really. So on play, you may place a Skull Knight and or Axemon from your hand or trash under this Digimon in any order as like the Digi-Evolution cards. And then all turns, when this Digimon is deleted, you may play a Skull Knight and or Deadly Axemon from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards suspended without paying their memory costs. So, this is one of the Nightmons you'll throw down just to kind of show you, like, the old stack. We'll do the old stack for right now. You swing with this, put this underneath it, evolve for free. Now this is swinging your 9k 2 hits. If it dies, oh well, we don't care. We're going to replay these two dudes. And you're going to get your own play effect as well. So, Darkknightmon's, it's got a lot of, you really don't care if it dies, because you're just going to be playing more dudes if it dies, really. Both Dark Knights do that. Actually, all the Dark Knights do that. These 4 Dark Knights do that, and these 4 Dark Knights do that as well, just differently, and I'll get to that. So this has on play Digivolve 1, and if you Digicross with 2 cards, deleted opponent's Digimon with 5 play cost 5 or less. So that's why Digivolve is so big in this deck. We like to get their stacks smaller, and then we'll just kill the last thing. And then Digicross, it's Digicross 2, so you put a Skull Knightmon and a Deadly Axe underneath this, and you reduce the cost by 2 for each thing you put underneath it. So you'd play this for about 4 or so. And then you get the Digivolving effect. So this card, similar to Dark Knight, but differently worded. Let me get to that. So all turns, when this Digimon would be deleted, by returning a level 4 or lower black Digimon from this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards to its owner's hand, you may play a Skull Knightmon or Deadly Axe from this Digi-Evolution cards without paying its costs. So the interaction with that, to just kind of explain to, I don't know, maybe if there's a new players or something we have out there. Let's say you have, let me get these out the way real quick just to kind of show you the interaction. So you play this, you put a Skull Knight, you have to put a Skull Knight first. So we'll put a Skull Knight, then an Axemon. So we're playing this for 4 because it's two less for each card. So we're paying this for 4. You do the Digivolve on play stuff. So let's say he dies. So he dies, or when he would be deleted, he dies, you can add this back to your hand to play this without paying its cost, and you'll get the on-play effect. Or if you wanted to, you could bounce this to hand and play this without paying its cost. So really cool. A lot of all the Dark Knights replay their sources pretty much, or something from or a Dark Knight from the trash to save itself. That's what Dark Knight does. He likes to die and then not die, because he'll die but he'll play new cards, and you can just go into another Dark Knight next turn. So he really does not care if he dies. On to our level 6s, we only play 4. We play the boy, our buddy, Dark Knight X Antibody. So it costs 5 to evolve with a purple or black, 4 to evolve with a Dark Knight, which is all of our level 5. When Digivolving, return a black or purple Digimon card other than Darkknightmon X Antibody. So it just can't be this card. Return a black or purple Digimon card other than Dark Knight X Antibody from your trash to your hand, which is why I was saying we could add back our Chikuris, we could add back our Death X's, which I'll get to. Then if Darkknightmon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's Digi-Evolution cards, which it'll pretty much always be, this is a Darkknightmon deck, delete 1 Tamer. Now that's not a may. You have to delete a Tamer. Typically you want to delete their Tamers, especially if you're going against Digicross players. You want to delete their Tamers with the biggest material stack. That way, you know, it all goes to the trash. They can't build something on it. They can't bring out their Digicrosses with Shoutmon and like all the materials. You'll just kill that Tamer. Or you can kill your own Tamer, Nini, which I'll get to in a little bit, and that'll give you some advantage as well. But you have to kill a Tamer. That's important. If there's a Tamer. If there's no Tamer, then you just play it. Then nobody's Tamers die because nobody has a Tamer. But if they have a Tamer in play, you have to kill it. If you have a Tamer in play, you have to kill it. You can choose any Tamer, But if there is a Tamer on board, it has to be killed. So just keep that in mind. If you have a Tamer on board and you don't want it to die and they have no Tamers, be wary about playing it. But typically, if it's a Nene, you don't mind it dying, which I'll get to in a moment. And then on deletion, you may play a Darkknightmon from your trash without paying its cost. Boom. Like I said, Darkknightmon loves dying and playing its stuff right away. So, and then you'll get all the Darkknightmon the Darkknightmons that have on-play effects. You just get all those. And then, of course, we play 2 Death X's. One change that I will do, change number 2. Change number 1 was the Shikuris, swapping them out. Change number 2, I would drop a Death X. Yeah, I know. Why would you drop a Death X? Death X is so good this format. Here's why. With the drawing that we have and recursion with this Dark Knight, because remember, it said you could add back a purple or black Digimon. Death X is purple and black. So if it goes to the trash some way, if it's hitting security and it goes to trash, if I play it and it dies, goes to trash, or if I hit it with our memory boost, which I'll get to shortly, and goes to trash, I can just add it back with Darkknightmon. It's no big deal. And honestly, I see it enough. I saw it a lot at 2. There'd be times where I'd have both of them in hand, and like, so I feel you can safely drop this to 1 for a bigger reason, which I'll get to actually is our next card, which I'll keep this here just to kind of show you. Our next card is we play 3 of the Nenes. And like I said, the only games that I was losing this past locals tournament night was because I didn't see Nene. So what I would do, this is change number 2, like I said, I would drop the 1 Death X for the 4th Nene. Now, you might disagree. You might play this deck as I have it, and you might feel 3 Nene is good enough, and you see it enough, and it's fine. Do you, bro? Like, but personally, I feel I'm going to drop 1 Death X for a 4th Nene. So that's change number 2. So let's get to what Nene does. Why is Nene so good? So on play, you look at the top 4 cards. You add 1 card with Knightmon, Deadly Axe, or Twilight Inner's traits to your hand. Place the rest at the bottom. Opponent's turn. All of your Darkknightmon or Digimon with Twilight in its traits gain blocker. Your whole deck becomes blocker. That's really good. And then on deletion, gain 2 memory. So if they want to delete it with Wargreymon, Black Wargreymon, we'll gain 2 memory. If they want to delete it with Lucamon Chaosmon, we'll gain 2 memory. If they want to delete it with Zort Defeat, we'll gain 2 memory. If we want to delete it, that's one of the plays with this. Because it unsuspends itself, which I actually forgot to mention that. I am sorry. I'm just so excited this deck's out finally that I'm just skipping effects. So it deletes it. You grab a purple and black Digimon from your trash back to your hand. You delete a Tamer and then you unsuspend it. So basically, the Darkknightmon or this, Darkknightmon, because it's a Digivolving effect. So you swing the Darkknightmon. Darkknightmon lives. You evolve this. You grab something back, delete a Tamer, unsuspend it. If it's still your turn, hell, swing again. And Nene will let you do that a lot of times. Sometimes Nene, you'll evolve, kill a Nene, and instead of paying 4 for the evolve, you basically pay 2, and now you can swing again. Because you killed the Nene, which gave you 2 memory. So, that's why we don't care if Nene dies, really. We like to get 2 on board sometimes. because we do want the blocker. But if we're going for game, we'll kill it. And just to unsuspend our Dark Knight X and swing again. In our last Tamer, we only played 2 of the Izzy. I feel like we only need 2. Honestly, the games that I played at my locals, I either didn't see it and won, or I saw it and won. Like, it kind of didn't really make a difference. It's really just in here for safety, in case they're choking me, and if they're choking my memory. It's really just in there for that. Also, for the on-play reveal top 3, you put them back in any order you want, and if they're all 3 black, you gain a memory. So basically, this Tamer costs 3 because your whole deck is black, or black and purple with Death X and stuff. And then you get to legally stack your deck. So if you reveal 3 and you see that Death X and you're like, man, I want that Death X, hey, put it on top. We just grab that Death X, next turn or next Evo. So yeah, that's why we played 2 Izzy. I wouldn't bump it up. I definitely wouldn't lessen it. I feel like 2 is fine. Moving on to our options, we played 3 of the Pride memory boosts. Pride's really good. I think I went over this with one of my last profiles, but I'll kind of reiterate it again. Active main, reveal 3 cards for the top of your deck. You may play 1 black Digimon with a play cost of 4 or less. So, it plays all of our babies, it plays all of our rookies, plays all of our level 4s. Except for, I think, it plays all of our level 4s. So yeah, it plays just about half the deck. And then the active main delay to kill it the following turn and gain 2 memory. So this also kind of stops them memory choking us as well. And then the last options we play is 3 Iron Fisted Onslaught. This is the final change that I would do. Now this is just for my locals, really. Like, this is just, I'm kind of just changing things to combat my locals. You do you. If you feel like Iron Fisted is the way to go for it. I feel personally, like I said for the Digivolve, a lot of times I don't want to kill, especially Digicross Shoutmon, I don't want to kill their thing because they're just going to material save all their stuff. Or Blue Flare does that a lot too. So I would honestly swap Ultimate Flare for these to Digivolve 3 and then kill everything level 3 or less. Also helping against your Jessamon matchup because you'll get rid of all of the sisters, or at least the sisters, the Blancs, the level 3 sisters. So while as this would kind of just kill the Jessamon, if you can, because they might have the protection. But personally, I would change these 3 to Ultimate Flares. And then that's the last of the deck. That's the only 3 changes that I would do. To kind of recap the changes, I would change one of these Chikuri to the 4th copy of this. I would drop 1 Death X for a 4th Nene. And then the last final change, I would change Iron Fisted Onslaught to Ultimate Flare. So those would just be the changes that I would make. Other than that, deck performed well. Like I said, I was undefeated. I went 4-0 in a 21-person locals. 3 of the people that I faced were 3 of our best players locally. The other person that I played, I haven't seen too much of. I'm sure she'll be around a little bit more. She was a very good player. Her deck was very good. Blindsided me with that Ancient Greymon OTK. But this wasn't. The deck was stacked against me, and I actually I went up against the decks that are most talked about and have high expectations for, and I was able to get the wins. Again, I was probably I felt comfortable with it because I've proxied this deck for 3 months now, and I've been testing hands at home, learning their effects left and right. Naturally, I had to look at some of the cards because of the translating errors and how things were translated from the printouts that I had, because the printouts that I had were the Japanese translations, and slightly a little bit more clearer. But I've been practicing this deck, for 3 months now, so I felt really comfortable with it, while as a lot of the players were probably just learning their decks Friday. But that's not a knock against this deck. This deck is super powerful, and I actually came up with the slogan with another friend of mine at my locals who's also a big Dark Knight fan. Actually helped me get just about half my deck, because he knew that I was ready for Darkknightmon, and me and him are just big Darkknightmon fans. But me and him made a saying where, for this deck, pertaining to this deck, where, how did it go? It was something like, if you pay attention to your effects, you can beat the meta decks. And it was something like that, but it rhymed effects with decks, definitely meta decks. But anyway, that's the deck list. I went over the changes that I would make. One card that I kind of left out and that I don't play is Immortal Ruler. And while this is a good card, I didn't run it because I didn't feel the need to run it. But I'll kind of go over it. When you have a Nene, you ignore the color requirements. You activate it, it's a free cost. You trash the top 3 cards from your deck, and then you play Darkknightmon from your trash for its play cost, and you can digicross it using sources from your trash. If I would play it, I'd only play it at 1. It is a Twilight, so you can add it with a lot of your effects. Excuse me. But in testing, I felt like this card was a little bit more of a trap, because I would end up using a turn to play something from the trash and trash important things sometimes. I really didn't like that. So, but that is something you can think of. Also, one more thing to go over. Nene has the Twilight trait in her, so she's also, you could add her with a lot of the Twilight effects. So like cards that look for Twilights, she looks for Nene he looks for Nene by name. But let's see, like a card like Nene, she adds a card with Twilight, Nightmon, or Deadly Axe in its name. So she could add herself, technically, if you reveal it. But anyway, so those are just some things to kind of keep in mind. Immortal Ruler, it's not a bad card. I didn't find room for it, and I felt like it was a little bit more of a trap. And then the changing the starter for the 4th Chikuri, changing the Death X to another Nene, and then I gotta find my 3rd copy, but changing the Iron Fisted Onslaughts to Ultimate Flares instead. So those would be the changes that I would make. I hope you like the profile. I'm super stoked to finally play this deck. Finally played this deck legally, because I've had it proxied for so long. Naturally, I couldn't use it in tournaments. But finally having this deck made and being able to play it and being able to pilot it to a 4-0 win against our best players at our locals, and on my birthday, mind you. The tournament that I went 4-0 with was this past Friday, and it was my birthday, the 21st of October 21st. So it was really cool to pilot my favorite deck, and a deck that I've been anticipating for so long, to a 4-0 undefeated win on my birthday. Was really cool. But that's enough of me rambling. I'm going to be bringing you guys probably a Jesmon list as soon as I've tested it a little bit more. I do have it built. Let me show you guys, just to kind of give you guys a taste. Here we go. Jesmon, X Antibody. It's built. I need to edit it a little bit. I have some. I do have Jesmon GX, and but this is the build that does not have GX in it. It just has it's basically the Blitz Omni build. It's better consistency, I feel. But I'm gonna try to test it as is. I'm gonna test it with GX and see how I like it. So before I bring you guys the list, and I'll test it locally as well. See how it performs. But anyway, this is Darkknightmon. I am super stoked to finally play this deck. Till next time, Limit Break TCG out.